So, most of us know this already, but whatever income slash salary you receive from your employment slash business isn't the total you end up with. Most countries around the world have the dreaded taxes. The three guarantees in life: death, taxes, and whatever NBA team I put Australian currency on will lose. So, taxes aside, there are ways you can cull this if you know how to use the tax code. I won't be sharing my tidbits in this video, but next financial year, I'm set to cut at least 10 grand off my tax bill. Anyway, after taxes, you have your net pay. You have your gross pay. Oh my god, ick. It gives me the ick. Gross. It's so gross, we need to get rid of some of it. Taxes take some of it, and now you're left with your net pay. Like when fishermen go fishing and they catch fish in their net. That's the fish they end up with. That's their net pay. So with your net pay, this is where you're left to cook with your own budget slash finances. There are many people who will live paycheck to paycheck. If they miss 1 week's of pay, they're cooked. Some are barely able to save anything. Some can save a little bit. Some can save a lot. I'm in a position where it's entirely possible to save more than 80% of my take-home pay. And I'll run through the numbers in this video. The idea is to show you ways you can cut your costs and become smarter with your money. And this video is especially useful for the younger people since they can adjust their life trajectory accordingly and put themselves in a position where they can save a huge chunk of their pay. This can be applicable to older people too. However, in some cases, older people have to have their own place, and they have kids, for example, so the income they're able to save would be skewed. Additionally, maybe you're a high-end professional or a successful business owner, and your take-home pay is $500,000 per year, after dodging some sneaky taxes. And even if you spent 50 grand in 1 year, you're still saving 90% of your take-home pay, so whatever they do wouldn't work for everyone else. The income they earn is so high that it almost doesn't matter what they spend their money on. Me, for instance, I don't have an income anywhere near this high, so my examples will be more applicable to others. Also, on the flip side, you could have some 15-year-olds who work several hours part-time per week, who are obviously still living at home. Their parents pay for everything, so they owe 100% of their take-home pay. Well, as a 28-year-old, there's no way around it. There's going to be stuff you're going to have to pay for yourself, unless you're one of those bum-ass guys in their late 20s/early 30s still leeching. But for me, as you'll see, I am paying for almost everything myself. We'll talk about what I mean by almost later. So, super rich older people can save 90% plus of their take-home pay simply by earning a shitload, and young people can save 100% of their take-home pay by simply just being a dependent child. So you could always just take their advice on how to save more of your take-home pay. Just teenager max, bro, or just boomer max, bro. Easy. But for the rest of us who aren't rolling in the coinage or who are mostly independent, we have some work to do with our personal budgets. So let's start with me being able to save 80% plus of my take-home pay. How am I able to do this? We start with my income, not including my retirement fund injections or extra bits and bobs that my jobs pay for. My gross pay is around $113,000 per year. $80,000 per year from my accounting job and $33,000 per year from my supermarket job, roundabouts. The absolute minimum for my supermarket is $32,000, but all it takes is a couple of public holiday shifts and an extra night here and there, and bam, an extra $1,000 earned, which I am guaranteed to get, because everyone else seems to just want those days off, so I get those extra shifts. Case in point, $113,000 in gross income. What? The income is gross? Oh my god, ick. It gives me the ick. So let's take out taxes. Now this pay calculator has my total taxes at this level at around $35,000, which includes my student debt. I'm not sure it takes into account the Medicare levy surcharge though. If you're not from Australia, which is most people who watch my content, we don't have free healthcare here. We pay 2% of our taxable income to this every year when we do our taxes. But if you earn over a certain amount, you got to pay an extra 1 to 1.5% of your taxable income to this. Tax the rich, hey? They're already doing that. So I don't think this calculator takes this into account, since the Medicare at the bottom shows a payment of $2,260, which is 2% of $113,000. But there's no extra 1 to 1.25% here. Okay, so editing this in post, but I was right on my assumption of the fact that AI will use calculators such as the one we just went through, and it'll use that to give its answers. So I first asked how much my taxable income would be if I earned 113K, not counting deductions. So it's got a different amount, but the first question didn't mention the fact that I had HECS. But where's the surcharge? There's still no surcharge here, which regardless of if you have a HECS or not, you will have the surcharge because your income's over 93 grand. So then now I added the HECS debt, and then now the number's gone up. But even this number's different from what the pay calculator had. Right, and then my HECS debt's slightly bigger than 42 grand, but it's around there. And then it comes to the same figure, because obviously I'm not going to end up paying all of it off at a 9.5% rate at 113K. That's not important for the sake of this video, but where is the surcharge? Pretty big thing in calculating your taxes at this income level. It's not and it's clearly Australia, right? I've listed Australia in all of them. So this AI has got it wrong. Interesting. I thought AI was going to replace us. Can't even get that right. Garbage in, garbage out, as any data analyst will tell you. Well, actually, at this income, I dodged the 1.25% bracket by $1, lol. So this is why you can't rely on AI/websites, kids. Gotta see a professional. AI would use this kind of data to determine your taxes, and yet it's missed a critical factor, the Medicare levy surcharge. AI will replace white-collar professionals, my ass. But this Medicare levy surcharge can be dodged with private healthcare, which is a cost of mine, so that section was kind of pointless in terms of it applying to me. Now, for the sake of this example, I've cut my taxes by 7 grand. At this stage, I am sure I can cull more than 10 grand, but for the sake of being conservative, we'll cut 7 grand from this tax bill. So that means instead of paying $35,000 in total taxes for the year, I've paid $28,000. So $113,000 take away $28,000 equals $85,000 in net pay overall. Now I've cut my taxes. There's one more category to cut, the expenses. So what you're seeing now is some rough calculations I whipped up during my procrastination when I was doing my CPA studies. Look, it gets boring, it gets tedious, we all procrastinate/need some downtime. My downtime is spent calculating how much of my future loan I can pay back, lol. Most people's procrastination is scrolling through social media. So anyway, you can see the word fuel card mentioned a few times. This is because, at my current job, I am unsure of another raise due to business performance. However, I think I could negotiate a fuel card, which would, in a way, serve the same purpose as a pay raise. So I calculated a rough example of $90 per week on fuel. Pretty expensive, but I live ages away from anything. So I gotta drive to the office 5 days a week. No work from home. Fucking annoying, but whatever. And fuel is also expensive here on the east coast of Australia. Now, I'm gonna kinda use these rough figures here for my expenses, even if some are a little off and if I'm missing a few things. For instance, the car insurance I put at $500, well, I found one for only $383, so that's cut that cost. The laser hair removal I've budgeted at $1,100. What I do is, when they have an end of financial year sale /Easter sale /Boxing Day sale, I will bulk buy some sessions since they're half price. So I figured this will be around $1,100 after the discounts. However, I'm probably going to use laser less in the future, since the hair removal on my neck, body and pelvic region is pretty permanent, so I can go less frequently. So I may not even pay for this next year. So there's an extra $1,200 in savings right there, or $1,100, whatever. However, this sheet here doesn't account for what I spend on my YouTube channel, which was sort of around $1,200 for 2024. So any savings here is added back when you factor in what I spent on my YouTube channel. My mechanic fees, well, maybe my car has less issues in 2025. Doubtful, but maybe it does. So the point is, although this sheet is a rough calculation, the end result is the same. It costs me around $16,500 a year to go through my daily life. The calculation here shows $16,615, but my fuel and grocery costs are overstated here. In 2024, I spent about $3,500 each on fuel and groceries. The grocery cost wasn't far off, but I overstated fuel, so cut some money here. But I also haven't included social events, nor have I accounted for the higher cost of Botox. That's gone up. Instead of $400 a session, it's now around $450 to $480. Not to mention some other bits and bobs that'll come up. If you're wondering why I haven't officially made a proper budget, it's because 1, I do enough forecasting at my job. I don't want to do even more in my own personal life. And 2, because I'll end up spending whatever I end up spending. I'm not going to not stick to my diet just because I spent too much on groceries in 1 week. If there's specials, I'm going to buy in bulk. I saved 20% off my grocery bill last year due to buying stuff on special and utilizing my staff discounts at the supermarket. Also, I'm not going to not get Botox if it goes up more in price. Oh, sorry, doesn't fit my budget. I guess I'll just let the forehead wrinkles take over. Same with fuel. Oops, sorry, can't make it to work this week. I spent too much on fuel according to my budget. Some people need a budget to stick to, but as you can imagine, I'm already pretty good with my money, so that's why there's no formal budget required. So $16,500 in costs per year. This could get slashed down further if you just didn't do Botox/laser, but that small investment in my appearance goes a long way. But for me, it costs around $16,500 per year on everything I have involved in my life. So $16,500 in costs take away $85,000, leaves $68,500. Damn, so close to $69,000. So $68,500 divided by $85,000 equals 80.59. I'm saving more than 80% of my take-home pay with what I'm spending each year. Keep in mind that my tax deduction was kind of low, so you could add more for my take-home pay after slashing more from my taxes, and I could actually be spending less depending on what happens in the year. Now, I'll give you a few tips on how to save so much of your take-home pay. 1. Earn more. No shit, but if I earned $40,000 a year instead of $113,000 per year, and I still paid $16,500 per year, not counting taxes, this now means I'm only saving 59% of my income each year. Still a decent number, but nowhere near 80%. 2. Live at home for longer. The biggest expense for most people, renting, is not here. I opted to live at home longer. I'm 28 and I still live at home. Made a video on this already. But the amount of money you save by cutting out shelter expenses is huge. I did some math in that same video actually. The money I saved in the past 4 years by living at home has exponentially helped my housing situation and net worth. All examples are listed in that video. 3. Shop around for better deals/bulk buy stuff. Already mentioned, but I saved on car insurance by shopping around, and I saved 20% of my grocery bill by bulk buying when things are on special, as well as my staff discount, but I saved more just by being a savvy shopper. 4. Cook your own meals, no Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc. Food delivery isn't even available where I live since it's a small country town. It's too far from anywhere. But even if it was available, I wouldn't use it. Cooking your own food makes it easier to track your diet, as well as just being cheaper in general. 5. Check out my previous video, the one about my 2025 budget. In that video, I go through many other examples of where I've cut costs. So that's how I'm able to save more than 80% of my take-home pay. Now, soon enough, I will have a land mortgage that I need to pay for, which will cost $1,177 a month, which is $14,124 per year. So now that cuts my savings to only about 64% of my take-home pay, and it will be even less when my actual house mortgage comes in. But for now, I can save 80% of my take-home pay by earning more, living at home, and being smart with my expenses. Now lastly, here is an example of what my take-home pay savings could look like if we do indeed cull 10 grand from my tax bill, as I expect to, as well as having only $11,000 in expenses, which is very achievable if I get a fuel card from work, cut laser, and generally be more smart with my money elsewhere. Now we're at a savings rate of 87%. Pretty damn high. Cutting a few expenses and getting one major cost, fuel, being covered by work, now my savings rate goes up even more, as well as cutting my tax bill further. The purpose of this video was to give a practical example on how you can cut your expenses and save more money, as well as illustrating the whole percentage of take-home pay savings idea. There are questions that pop up on finance/money related forums from time to time, with the question being, how much of your take-home pay do you save? Most answers hover between 0 and 20%. The first thing most people jump to get this percentage up, and the only real option you can do straight away, is to cut your expenses. But people forget about the tax deductions. There are plenty of methods to cut your tax bill a little. It serves the same purpose as cutting your expenses. But the number one way to save more is to simply earn more. Like I mentioned earlier, you can earn $500,000 a year after taxes. You'd still be saving 90% of your income, even if you spend as much as 50 grand a year. If I spent 50 grand a year, I'd go from a max savings rate of 87% down to only 43%, not counting some extra tax stuff. So if you want to save more than 80% of your income, check your expenses, look at cutting your tax bill, and look at earning more. What percentage of your take-home pay do you save? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. That is all.